Hello, everyone. I'm Ron, and we'll just give a few minutes to allow people to enter the room. It's kind of like people leaving that main stage area, the main presentation, and going into a breakout session like we would at a regular conference. I love this idea of hop in. It really makes the virtual conference real, like real life. So I see we have about 20 people in the room. Let me give it another couple of minutes, and then we'll get started on my session on presenting virtually into the matrix. We have 25. It's great being able to watch. At any point, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And in fact, if someone would be so kind, just let me know someone's here and put something in the chat. Say hi. There we go. Thank you, Emma. That's actually a great technique I use when presenting virtually, is to use the chat. And now we're going to see 50 million messages in the chat of everyone saying hello, which is outstanding. I'd rather have too much my students than not enough. I'm just giving it another minute. So if you're just entering now, giving it a minute, letting more people to enter the room before I start. Always the challenge, whether we are presenting virtually or live in front of the audience, is what do you do while people are walking into the room? You really can't start the lesson yet, can you? So going to give it another about 10 seconds, and then I'm going to start rocking and rolling. I am using Nearpod for my presentation. It's kind of a first for me. I've used it with a colleague in the past, but this is really the first time I'm using it live. Am I doing any cybersecurity sessions this year? Hello, Ramsey. Great to see you. Yes, I am. Well, I'm doing on hacking your cybersecurity career. You can check out my TED Talk on that, Hackers Wanted. But let's get started in the topic for today. So I'm going to share out my Nearpod. One moment. There we go. Hopefully you should all see my Nearpod screen. Let me just jump over to here. Yes, it looks like it is there. Please, if you can, go to join.nearpod.com and put in the code JVAIU. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. That is outstanding. What is Nearpod? Don't worry, I'll look it up. You'll learn a lot about Nearpod here really quickly. Okay, so if you type in the code, let me jump right in. So we are now in the matrix. It's no longer in the 1990s. We're in 2020, and we live on our computers. When people ask me, so where are you from? I live on the internet. Now, I'm near Omaha, Nebraska, so hi to everyone from Omaha. But literally, I've been living on the internet for almost all my life. It's weird, isn't it? Let's start out with a few polls. So if you could take a moment, please, and I'm testing out the polls. What technology do you use when you are broadcasting? Go ahead and put in your answer. And I see all of the students' names. And this is just to give me a general idea, and you, as to what are the different technologies you tend to use. Now, me, I'm a Windows person, partly because I'm kind of cheap and I can never find anyone to buy me a Mac. If I could, I probably would use a Mac. So I end up using Windows 10. So we'll just give it another, and I'm going to hide student names because it's really not the important part with this, just to give me an idea. So we do have one person using Chrome OS. Anyone on a couple of iPhones? Okay. And that's what I find fascinating, is I'm seeing more and more students taking class using an Android or an iPhone, a smartphone. Are we adapting our technology, our presentations, for use on smartphones and tablets, etc.? And by the way, iPhone, iPad, same idea, or other types of tablets. So I'm going to stop the polling right now, and it looks like the winner is Mac at 37.5%, Windows close second at about 35%. Awesome. Let's go to our next polling question. Thank you all for participating. What application do you usually use when you are broadcasting your class or meetings? Is it Google Meet? Is it Zoom? Something else like other people may be using Hop In. Let me see. There are many others that I've used as well. other than Zoom. And some days I actually do use Zoom, Google Meet, Teams, back to back to back in meetings. It's just crazy how we now are living our lives online. And it looks like, ooh, quite a few are using Google Meet. That is great. They all have their advantages or disadvantages. I'll actually be covering the different types of technologies. And I forgot to do the share previously. My bad. What I'm doing is I'm learning some of this alongside you. And that's kind of the exciting part of the age we are in today, is that we're learning together on how to use this technology. So you can now see the results where the leader seems to be Zoom, followed by Google Meets, a few no answers, and then some are using Teams. So let's jump in. How do you make your sessions, whether they're for CSTA or in general, how do you make them rock and roll, right? And you can use these same techniques whether you're teaching a group of students in a classroom or working with colleagues. So who am I? I'm a Unix, Linux nerd. I've been using Unix, Linux for a long time. Let's just put it that way. I am a hacker. You'll learn more about how I'm a hacker in my CSTA session. Again, feel free to check out my profile. My website is cyber-AAA, cyber AAA. You can see my videos and content out on my gallery or resource page. I teach for a university called Bellevue University, Bellevue, Nebraska, mostly online, teaching there for about 10 years. I just love learning is why I love to teach. I do have a computer science degree, though, from Michigan State and an MIS degree from Syracuse University. I do a lot of this type of training. It's kind of what I do for my business. When you're presenting, always start with why. You know, it's the old, well, just ask the kids in your classes, you know, why should I care? Well, so let me put it to you this way. What's more appealing? Looking at someone from up in their nose, you know, with a whole bunch behind in the background. Now I need to fix my video. Or is it better if you're just have a blank background and you can focus on the individuals? That's why we want to learn how to do these virtually. And by the way, I know I have a moderator in the room. Please collect any questions. At any point, if you have questions, put it in the chat. We can't do that when we're doing these conferences. You know, it's like you can't just raise your hand for a question at any point, right? But now we can, right? So there we go. I'm just checking chat. Nothing there. Good. So start with why. If you haven't seen the Simon Sinek video, Start With Why from TED Talks, highly recommend it. This is his Start With Why circle. Why, and then how is your process, and then what do you want as your result? My point is, what do you want your attendees to remember after their session? You should have 3 things at least. So tell you what, I'm a professor. I give homework. So my homework is I'm going to find you. And I'm going to ask you, what did you learn from my session? Hopefully you'll have at least a couple of takeaways. It starts by having some decent equipment. And I'm going to go through each of these. And the camera. And by the way, if you're using just the camera off of your cell phone, smartphone, tablet, or laptop, it's okay. I like to use professional webcams. You can finally find them again. At the start of this coronavirus back in April, I was working with a colleague who needed a webcam and he couldn't buy one. He couldn't find one anywhere. The lighting can be very important as well. I love the folks who participate with this, but if you have a light over your head, it makes you look like you have a halo, right? Audio, important. And then what applications? Let's dive into some of the equipment you can use. Should you have a webcam or a cell phone? Again, I'm a big fan of just having that separate webcam that's a lot higher quality. I use a Logitech C920. I've had it for a few years. Just makes it a lot easier. Now, how do you place your webcam? Again, if you noticed how I'm centered, you want to be framed. So this is what's interesting. So I'm a computer geek, by the way, but I'm now learning all of this broadcasting stuff. You know, so I watch TV news and I'm learning from TV news anchors. believe it or not, and late night talk show hosts who now are having to be their own producers, because that's what we need to do. So be centered with your camera. If you're off to the side, or you don't want your head cut off, like anything else, you want to practice. And you want to look directly at the camera. Should you stand or sit? It's really up to you. I tend to sit while I'm doing this, which is different than when I'm doing this live. Lighting, making sure the exposure is good, knowing where the windows are. So right now, I'm actually in my basement, and I put sheets over the windows. That way I don't have any resonant glow about me. You can use overhead lighting. It's just kind of nice for a contrast. Just make sure the windows, that they're not directly behind you. So Windows, not the operating system. Just know where your windows are, because that could be distracting. You want people to focus on you when you're presenting. And then if you noticed, I have a nice blank backdrop. I actually bought it off of Amazon. It's pretty much just a huge white sheet with a professional frame that I use for my training. No distractions. If I took this down, you would see I have a messy basement, but shh, you don't need to know that. I actually also not only have the white, but a black and even a green screen to play with. Audio, lots of options. I have numerous professional microphones that can range around $200, $250. That's actually this lav mic I'm using now, with actually a professional setup where I can adjust the gain, the volume of my mic. Or should you use a standing mic? It really is up to you how you want to do it. You want to make sure it's a few inches from your mouth. I like having that dedicated external mic. And actually one I bought, so I have a professional one I have now that an organization gave me as part of what I'm creating for them. But this, what I'm holding in my hand, just a little plug-in mic I got for like 10, 12 bucks off of Amazon before the start of all of this, works wonderfully as a dedicated mic. The only problem with these mics is I tend to get up and forget they're on, and I almost choke myself. Anyway, that's just the fun part that we have to deal with when we're presenting. I'm going to give it a quick second. Let me see. Are there any questions in the chat? And if there are, can you share the PowerPoint and use the chat here? What do I think of the snowball mic? That's actually one of the types that I have and have used, and it's worked marvelously for me. I've just kind of gotten used to this lav mic. So good questions. Let's see, any other good questions from here? I love Simon Sinek, Nearpad. Okay, let's keep moving forward then. What application do you use? From the poll, about almost a little less than half use Zoom, whether it's Zoom, Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams. You just need to take some time to become familiar with it. Each platform is very similar, but works a little different. So it's like anything else, practice, 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 right? One thing I wanted to mention is, How to Geek. I'm a big HTG fan. So check out howtogeek.com. I'm not affiliated with them. I just like their stuff. They have a really good article on 6 best free video conferencing apps, just from their research. The other point I wanted to make with this is that I record videos for classes as well. When you're recording, keep them short and simple. The videos I create for classes are 1 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes is max, because all of our kids have ADD. I swear they do. I do too. If it's not short, they very well may lose them. So always try to be adapting what you're doing and showing as well. And then recording. I use Filmora or Camtasia to record as well. That's a whole separate session on how to record your videos and then professionally edit them. But it starts by having this good setup. So let's go to another poll. Have you ever been Zoom bombed? Now, Ed is giving a session on that topic. I've not actually seen his content, and unfortunately, he presents when I do. So I don't know if what exactly he's going to be covering. However, this is just kind of a fun tangent. Part of the reason why I'm doing this is just to create some level of interactivity. So take about another 20 seconds and vote. And let's see what you come up with. And I think, I noticed we have a few people. What is a Zoom bomb? So I'll cover that in one moment. And just what I thought, most people are saying no. We do have a small percentage who are saying yes. So a Zoom bomb, let me share this out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There. And now y'all can see the results. No, I'm not from down south. I just like y'all. A few of you, and I'm glad I hid your names. We want to protect the guilty or innocent in this case, who all have been Zoomed bombed. What is a Zoom bomb? Basically, it's some type of a distraction. It can be a kid who walks in while you're trying to present, or I have a cat. So if she's being particularly annoying, I'll lock her in with her food and water and everything. But I separate because that has happened to me. I'm sitting teaching a class, graduate class, and my cat just hops up right in the middle of it. What's fascinating is everyone loved it. So just because that happens, it's not the end of the world. Okay, just got to kind of go with it. Know what you're going to show, what's behind you. There's been a lot of fun anecdotes about people Zoom bombing. So walking in during a meeting or a presentation, it was the dad in his underwear, Zoom bombing the meeting, or it could be someone entering the room who you're not expecting. So for distractions, just limit them. You want people to focus on you, not on the distraction, because that, you lose a class when that happens. Other things, make it big. What do I mean by that? I like big fonts, and it may just be because I'm getting old, need glasses. No, make it really easy for people to see and understand. Pet peeve is the presentation where they have like 10-point font and the presenter says, well, I'm sorry, people in the back, you can't see what's on my slides. No. Know how to zoom in as well. The zooming shortcuts, so important, whether they are in a, so Control Plus on my keyboard, will allow me to potentially zoom in. Let's see what happens. That's making it smaller. Fascinating. All right, I'm playing. There we go. So that's why you want to play with the zoom feature, but know those shortcuts so you can make them quickly. Clothing. I like to go with very simple clothing, no logos. Again, no distractions. Interaction, just like in real life. Ask lots of questions. Double check the chat. Like I'm going to check the chat. When narrowing the window for the session, the video shift from vertical stacking to side by side. Yes, I think that's a hop-in feature. What you're noticing what I do is that I'm very verbal in what I say and what I see. So if I'm checking chat, I actually say, ooh, let me check the chat for a minute. Thanks, Jeff, for mentioning that. And then Emma replying with the poll tab for the hop-in. Right now, Ron is using Nearpod. Thanks, Emma, for chiming in about that. That makes this interactive. Okay, anyone old like me and remember Romper Room with the magic mirror? I mean, this is going back 50 years, right? The magic mirror I see, you name people. It's actually a technique from How to Win Friends and Influence People. The old book from Dale Carnegie is you say people's names and you catch their attention. I'll do this when I'm presenting in real life as well. So what you want to do is about every 2 to 3 minutes, making sure you do something interactive with people, like reminding, please put questions in the chat. If you can, have a moderator. I actually had a class I taught once for an organization where I had an earbud in and the moderator would then chime in if there were any questions. Just made it very interactive and allows for someone else, because there's 43 people here and it's really hard to keep up with the chat sometimes. Let's see. So as you have other questions, please keep putting them in the chat. The approach I like to use for my presentations, and I recommend check this out. It's Presentation Zen by Gar Reynolds. He wrote it 10, 15 years ago, and I believe the website is still presentationzen.com. What is it? It's using images and memes and graphics to catch people's attention instead of a lot of words on slides. So if you noticed on my slides, at the most 5 bullet points, at the most, 5 or 6 words per line, that's it. And try to use something that's interactive and that's meaningful to people as part of your slides. You want people to focus on you and not try to just sit there and read your content. So, big fan of Presentation Zen. And I actually have a video out on my YouTube channel called Radical Presentations, where I cover a lot of these techniques. Other quick techniques. KISS. Keep it short and simple. I mentioned the videos I create for training, 1 to 5 minutes. Same thing with our conference sessions. Okay, you know what I've learned as a teacher? Students never complain if I'm done with class early. Whether I'm a college professor or even with the high school, middle school students I've worked with. Seriously, it's better to be too short than to realize that, oh my gosh, my time is up and I still have 5 slides left to go, and then you're rushing through it. So keep it short and simple, right to the point. Love the camera. This is one I've had to teach myself. And it's kind of odd when you're out in a regular conference, on a stage, you can look across the room and interact with people and read people's body language. Okay, I can't do that right now. It's just me talking to a blank camera. It's kind of odd, but you kind of get used to it too. So if you noticed, what I'm doing is I'm looking directly into the camera, but what I will do is I will shift my body language. Try to avoid using teleprompters, and if you do, practice with them, okay? Otherwise, you're sitting there and you are reading the words on the slide and it looks really wooden. Be present. This is whether you're in a meeting or in one of these sessions. I put my cell phone into airplane mode. I don't want any messages popping up on my cell phone in the middle of this. I already mentioned about the interaction. And the last point for this is go big. What do I mean by that? Well, I've heard this from multiple producers, by the way, video producers. You know how a camera adds 10 pounds, so they say? It also takes away 10% of your personality. So if you noticed, I go really big. I have a lot of voice inflection. I use a lot of motion, a lot of movement. Some people find it distracting. I try to slow down every once in a while. But this way, you're always capturing people's attention. So practice, practice, practice. Fortunately, with the Hop-In, you have a lot of opportunities to practice. A few resources for you. I recorded a webinar on this topic, like I'm doing tonight, for the world's largest cybersecurity conference called the RSA Conference on Presenting Virtually. So if you want to see my tips there, along with one of my colleagues, you can watch it. Or I have a video, as I mentioned, on radical presentations, how to take all of this to that next level. So I'm Ron. I hope you got something out of this presentation, this session. At this point, I'm going to slide back over, and I'm hoping my moderator can help me out, and we can open it up for questions. So, moderator, please help me out. If you have a question, we can turn on your video and your mic, mainly because we did have the training session on it, but like everyone else, just kind of goes. Hello, Emma. Thank you for helping me out.
We have a few people in the queue that would like to join, so just let me know when you'd like them to join.
There you go. Now I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm joining. I think this is Kathleen. I'm going to join and ask a question.
Great. Whenever you're ready, Kathleen.
Okay. Catherine.
Catherine, sorry.
Okay, we also have Kelly that would like to come in and ask a question. I'll add her.
So while we're waiting, I see a question on thoughts on the Swivid recording system. I have not used that one. The moderators is a good question to ask the CSTA folks, so I'll let them provide that. So where's our first question?
Yeah. And then we had Joe request to come on screen.
Is this something you can do, Emma? Are we?
Yes, I just approved for them, but it doesn't look like they're joining right now. So if anyone would like to join on screen.
Don't be shy. This is.
Oh, we have Audra.
Excellent.
I will.
Does it take a while to get people onto the stage? It must. It's kind of like they're walking up the aisle.
All right. So this is, I'm sorry, you were just asking us to test this out?
Sure.
Okay.
We can
Oh,
hear
my
you.
video's off. There we go. All right. I think I got it. Am I sharing my screen? No, my camera's on, but you can't see me.
There, now we see. You're sharing your screen and I see like 400 of me.
All right. My camera looks like, oh, I know why you can't see me. Duh. Sorry about that. There we go. I'll turn
There
off.
we go. Now. Oop. And then we lost you.
Oh, we lost her.
And that's
Her
okay.
request on. We have. Oh, here she is again.
Oh, there we go. Now I remember down there. So it looks like what, Leanne? Yes. But let's get Audra.
Yes.
And we have about 2 minutes, so I'll take 2 questions. Audra.
How are you?
Fantastic. Did you have a question?
I didn't. I thought you just wanted somebody to jump on here.
Okay.
I actually am late to this session, and I'm going to stay for the next one. So I'm sure I will have a lot of questions.
Outstanding. Well, I think that's a different room, by the way. So you need to hit that session room.
What do you mean?
So when you go to sessions, so
Uh-huh.
once I'm done here in a moment, go back to sessions.
And come back in?
Yes, and then come back in.
Okay.
So let me see if we can't.
All right. I'll leave in case somebody else wants to jump on.
Okay.
Right now, we don't have any requests.
Okay.
So if anyone would like to join. Oh, Erica Roberts would like to join.
And by the way, you have my contact information. You will get the slides. If you have questions, please contact me offline. This is not the only time you can ask questions. Okay, Erica, did you have a question?
I do. Do we need to use an additional app when we use Hopin, or is Hopin the only thing we use?
Hopin works through the website, so you don't have to use any additional app. You can share out Nearpod like I did, or if you have PowerPoint or Google Slides or whatever else you want to share, you can use. But it's really easy just through any type of web browser.
Terrific. Thank you.
My pleasure. Last question from BJ Bert Jacoby, it looks like. Did we lose him?
Oh, I think we lost him.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much. It's time to switch to the next session. I'm showing quarter till the hour. For me, it's 6:45, 7:45 Eastern. That'll be 4:45 Pacific time. So I will hopefully see you at CSTA. Have a wonderful evening and be safe. And until we meet again.
Bye.